Hello Moodlings, my name is Dr. Nicole Lunan and I'm the CEO and co-founder of MoodMe, a new app that allows you to share over 400 and plus moods, emotions, and desires with your lover, thus making communication simple, fun, and super easy. Are you trying to help a loved one or trying to change who they are? Let's talk about it in today's video. The first question to ask is about the intention. What is your intention behind wanting to shift this other person's energy? When you're helping another, there's no direct benefit to you. You're not doing it for a selfish reason. You're asking the right questions to inspire and lead the other person into intrinsic motivation. When trying to change another person, we are attempting to manipulate and mold another person to fit our needs. It's self-serving. Although the change you're wanting to make in another person is possibly good for them, it might not be something that they're intrinsically motivated to do on their own. Trying to change another is sometimes accompanied with control and manipulation. It may not be conscious that you're doing it, but it's definitely happening. Because if your partner was a piece of clay, you would be molding them into a version that would fit your needs rather than allowing them to mold and create themselves. Whether you like them or not is typically determined on their ability to change and fit your needs. Trying to change another deals with asserting your control over how they think. It's a lot of you should or why don't you? It doesn't light their fire of motivation, it typically snuffs it out. Trying to change another person indicates that you are superior over them and you know what's better for them, their life, than they do. It gets kind of murky here because they may very well need to do the things that you're suggesting that they do. Like they probably should take better care of their bodies if they're unhealthy, or they could command more respect at work and get that promotion. But it doesn't mean that you don't have a hidden agenda behind this. You could tell yourself that you're doing it for them, but it's possible that you're pushing them to be a better version to fit you, to fit the ideal partner that you have in your head. Also, trying to change someone may be accompanied with criticism, like, why don't you work out more? Why don't you clean up more? You'd be more respected at work if you did this. If you're wanting to help, the way you speak to your loved one wouldn't be in the form of criticism. So that could be a clear indication that you're trying to change and control them rather than to help and motivate them. I personally struggled with this as a healer and coach at first because I had a hard time recognizing the difference between clients who were coming to me for help and my friends who just wanted to vent and be heard. The clients that come to me have done the work to find me. They looked up my information. They made a choice that they wanted to do better for themselves. Therefore, the intrinsic motivation was already there. They even used their hard-earned money and resources to improve themselves. They had me in the position as a coach. With friends and partners, they have not gone through the same path. So I'd find my coaching hat on when talking to my friends when all they really wanted was someone to hear them out, not to be suggested on what they should do next. So my question for you is, do you have your coaching hat on when your situation calls for you to listen and to hold space without providing any suggestions on how they should change? It may happen at times that you have a great desire to help somebody because you're convinced that what you have to tell them could be of great use. And in a situation like that, take the time to share your desire with that person, but ask us if they're actually willing to hear you. If they refuse or seem hesitant or don't insist, and you do persist and start offering them lots of suggestions despite their response, it could be because you're trying to change or control them. You want them to act according to your understanding of what good and bad is in this type of situation. It means you're not in touch with the other person's needs, rather you're more in touch with your own beliefs. You're trying to impose your belief structure on them. And if there's one thing I've learned is that we can't expect others to act or react to situations the way that we do because they're their own individual person. This is why it might be helpful to lean more into questioning rather than suggesting, helping them dive deeper and find their own answers rather than you just telling them. One way to tell that you're controlling another person instead of helping and guiding them is to play out a scenario where you suggest that they do something. And if that person ignores your advice and does what they want to do and you feel angry, frustrated, annoyed, or disappointed, it could very much be that you're too attached to the outcome of what the other person does. So that would indicate your desire to have some level of control over them, rather than just allowing them to make their own choices and live their own life. Unfortunately, many of us believe that we are showing our love when we repeatedly tell others what and how they should act in certain circumstances, and that they're showing us love when they follow our advice. However, this is false. This type of love is conditional. If you do this, I will love you if you do this, or I won't love you if you do this. This type of conditional love is mainly based off of fear. Fear of being alone or fear of not being able to be loved. This is the same fear that's trying to mold the other person into what works for us so that we don't have to be alone or take the risk of meeting new people or possibly letting them go out of our lives. If we ask ourselves an honest question, can we accept this person in our life for exactly who they are with no changes? We can get to the bottom of whether we want to keep this person as is with no changes at all, or choose to let them go. Trying to change someone could be surrounded around the fear of loss. For me personally, I've lost quite a few loved ones. So when I see my loved ones making choices that could lead them down a dark path, I'm very much involved, trying to shift their idea about what they should do, and I am very vocal about that. My fear is that if I don't tell them what I think, that they could end up like those who we've lost in the past. The control comes from a fear of loss, fear of losing people like I did before. However, I can only suggest when asked. And when they do ask me, I am dynamic in the way that I speak my truth. If you say it with conviction, you really only have to say it one good time. They heard you. And now it's up to them to decide what kind of life they want to live going forward. You've done your best, and now it's time to let go and let God. Some of us try to change people because we internalize their problems as our own, or it helps us feel more safe when we have control over their outcomes. This is a classic codependent behavior. We hate having things out of our control. It reminds us of bad things that have happened in the past, and we get anxious and afraid of the catastrophic things we anticipate happening if we do not step in and try to change things. Accepting what's out of our control and that we can't solve other people's problems for them doesn't mean that we're powerless. Quite the contrary. It allows us to put our energy into identifying what aspects of the problem we can solve and to change the things that we can, and use that energy that we're showering on others and place it back onto ourselves. There are certain circumstances when your partner or loved ones are putting themselves in constant danger, and they come to you to complain often, but they don't make any changes. This may be a very frustrating place for you to be in, but more than likely, they're only asking for you to listen. They're not going to take your advice, or else they would stop doing the things that put them in danger. This puts you in a tough position because you're constantly providing them with a listening ear or providing suggestions when they ask, and it can put you in a thing called empathy fatigue. You could begin to care about their well-being more than they do, and that would indicate the beginning of a codependent bond. If you find yourself in this position, don't be afraid to take some space and take care of yourself. It's not your responsibility to save anybody. They gotta save themselves, and if their drama loop tires you out, don't be afraid to place yourself first and place some boundaries. In this case, you may be trying to control their behavior because you can see a storm coming and you wish more than anything to save them from the pain and the strife that comes ahead. However, this is their lesson, and this is a lesson they need to learn for their soul to grow and mature. You cannot get in between a lesson that God has sent to them, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you want to. Trying to solve other people's problems often makes things worse, not better. Not only is it impossible to solve another person's problem, we often open the door to more problems when we try to change a person who doesn't want to change. It would be great if we could wave our magic wands and then all of a sudden all of our loved ones are safe and happy, but that's just not how it works. It usually comes off as telling them what to do in a bossy way, or giving unwarranted advice, or acting like we have all the answers. Our efforts to actually trying to help could backfire, and our loved one could not feel safe to talk to us anymore, or worse, feel judged. Just remember, whenever another person is going through something, this is their soul's curriculum. You need not feel responsible for this. All the choices this person has made has led them up to this point, or if they're dealing with something that's out of their control, whatever they're learning will ultimately make them a stronger person in the end. To wrap up this video, I wanted to leave you with a few questions that will help you decipher whether you're trying to change another person or you're trying to help them. Before launching yourself in the fix-it mode, try asking yourself these questions. Is this my issue or problem, or is it someone else's problem that's affecting me? Is this problem something that I can fix or change? Is changing this person or situation in my control? How can I redefine the problem so that I'm focusing on what's in my control? Do I have any influence? Did they ask for my help or ideas? Am I forcing my solution and ideas onto this person? Am I helping or enabling? And what's the difference? What is my intention behind trying to solve this problem? Is this actually an attempt to manage my own fears and anxieties about what might happen? And if so, how else can I deal with uncertainty and feeling out of control? All right, that wraps up today's video. If you like our video, please make sure to leave a comment in the section below and download MoodMe. You can find it on iOS and Android. And see you later, Moodlings.